Hello friends, and welcome to my hotel room. I am, like before, I filmed an episode before in a hotel room, not so long ago, I think it was 2 episodes ago. And I am staying at a hotel now for the same reason that I was in that episode, that um, I am a student and sometimes we have to be, like, physically be at school. I study from like a long distance, so usually we're not at school physically, but sometimes we have to for different reasons, exams and stuff, and this is one of those times. So I am now spending 2 days in Sundsvall in northern Sweden, and when I'm here I stay at a hotel. And I thought, I was like in my hotel room all by myself. Usually when we're here, me and a couple of my friends, we go out to dinner and have some wine and stuff like that. But this time, they have split the class in two because of one of the exams we're doing. That needs to be the situation. The class needs to be split. It needs to happen on different days because we're doing it with like real children. So there's like preschools actually coming to our university so that we can like do our exams with like a group of kids, and if my entire class were to do it on the same day, those kids would just have to be there for a very very long time, which would not work for anyone. So the class is split in two, and unfortunately that meant that I'm here on the Monday and the Tuesday, and most of the people that I hang out with in my like class are here on the Tuesday and the Wednesday. So usually one of the nights that we're here, we just go out to dinner and have some wine and stuff because everybody's just at a hotel. But like logistically, that didn't work out this time because I'm here now and they are arriving late tonight. When I should be like going to bed because I need to get up early tomorrow for the exam. And yeah, so I'm at my hotel all by myself, and I have been watching TV for way too long now, and was just feeling a bit like bored and like I wanted to hang out with someone. So I thought, let's just do a little knit and chat. So this is not going to be like a regular episode where I show you what I'm working on, all of it, or like finished objects or anything like that. I'm just gonna talk to you and chat a bit while I knit. I thought also that we would take this opportunity to chat a bit about what I like want to knit this year. I don't have like a specific list, like here are 10 sweaters that I want to make in 2023, but I did make a little list here of like a couple specific sweaters that I want to make, but also more general things that I want to make or knit in 2023. So I thought we would just chat about that while I knit for a while, and yeah. I would also like to put, like, this is a disclaimer for you. I'm just here chilling at my hotel, so this is not going to be fancy or it's not scripted at all. My videos usually aren't. It's just gonna be me, the way I am, talking to you guys. We're all friends here, right? I'm not wearing any socks because I don't wear socks. I hate socks. It's the first thing I take off when I get home. You know, there's like a lot of people are like, oh, when you get home, you let your hair down or you take your bra off or whatever. Those are usually like, or you take your jeans off or something. I take my socks off immediately. Like literally, my socks are in the hotel room. They are like next to my shoes because I got in the hotel room, took off my shoes, took off my socks. I don't like socks, which is probably also why I don't knit socks, because I just don't wear them. So if you see my feet peeking out and that's something that bothers you, because I know feet is sensitive to some people, you're just gonna have to live with it. And yeah, I thought I would brush my hair, and then I realized that my hairbrush is in my backpack, which I'm using as a tripod right now because you are literally sipped into my backpack, propped up on a lot of chairs and stuff. So if you topple over, I'm sorry. and I couldn't brush my hair because my hairbrush is at the bottom of my backpack, which is your tripod, so didn't want to mess with it. Anyways, I'm gonna go get myself some Coca-Cola because I have some in my mini fridge and I forgot to pour myself some before I sat down to chat with you. So I will go get that and then I will be back to show you what I am knitting on. Yeah. Da, 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 da. And we're back. So I am going to be knitting on this sweater that I started 3 days ago. Was it 3 days ago? 3 or 4 days ago. Which is also actually the first thing on my list. The first thing I'm gonna do is some frogging. Because I just tried it on and the sleeve, story of my life, it's too wide. So I'm gonna frog the sleeve that I have made and restart it because I don't know, it looks ridiculous. I can show you. So the reason why this is the first thing on my 2023 list is because the first thing that I want to challenge myself this year with is color work. I have never knit a color work sweater. This is my second year of this is my second full year of knitting, and I want this to be the year where I challenge myself, so I thought color work is gonna happen this year. So I started this sweater. This is the festive pullover by Knits. I was really inspired by the version that Anna Sjösvärd made. I'm not sure how it works, if I'm actually allowed to put up her Instagram picture here of it. I don't think so. I'm not sure. So I'll link it below. You can check it out on her Instagram. I was really inspired by that, but I didn't want it to be a Christmas sweater. So I didn't want it to have the reindeers. So I didn't do the reindeers. In the pattern, there are charts for every single pattern repeat, and you can just choose yourself which ones you want. So that's what I did. So this is what I have, and honestly, like I said, I started this 3 days ago. There's been a lot of knitting going on. I'm happy with it, apart from the sleeve, and I'll show you why. So I have it on these little things. Doesn't really matter though, since I'm gonna frog it. This is my process when it comes to the sleeves. This is very cropped and also very unblocked, so it's a lot of puckering going on because it's my first color work. It's not super even, obviously, but I'm hoping it's gonna block out. I am very happy with it. I think I'm gonna wear it a lot. I was freaking out for a while because I knitted it and then I was like, oh my god, did I do one repeat too much? Because I don't want it to be a full color work. I wanted it to be a color work yoke and then gray. And I felt like maybe I should have stopped here and then gone gray. But in my head I also envisioned it with 3 repeats. It was a whole thing. I was actually messaging Francesca from an Italian knitter about it. We talk a lot on Instagram, so I was like, help me, what should I do? Having a bit of a nervous breakdown, having a bit of a mental breakdown. But I think now that I've knit the body, which is going to be this super cropped thing, I think I do like it this way. Especially when the sleeves are added, which are going to be gray. I think I'm going to like it. But what I don't like is the sleeve that I've made. Is it just me, or does it actually look ridiculous? Can you see that? It's I'm hoping you can see. I don't know how wide you go. But first of all, it looks... I know that the case is that you usually knit color work tighter, right? Than regular stockinette. So I did go up on the color work and then I went down in needle size for the body. And the body gauge, I think, is fine. It's a little bit uneven because of the color work, which is uneven in itself. But I'm thinking this is gonna block and look great together. But the sleeve, I don't know. Can you see it? I looked at it in the mirror and I was like, what is this? So that's usually what I do, because I talked about this before, that I've only found one single pattern that I haven't had to modify the sleeve decreases for. I don't like wide sleeve. I don't like a balloon sleeve. I like the way they look on other people that are like comfortable in them, but I am not comfortable in them. So on me they look strange, I think, because I don't feel comfortable, basically. So I knit part of the sleeve, I try it on, and I'm like, okay, should I do some modifications to the decrease like rate or something like that? And that's what I was gonna do now. I was gonna try it on to see, and I think it's just so wide. Look, I could fit 2 of my arms in here, right? I just don't like it. And I also feel like the gauge is a lot bigger on the sleeve than on the body. And I did go down. The color work is knit on 3mm. No, the color work is knit on 3.5mm. And I went down to 3 for the sleeves and the body. And I don't think it matches. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna rip back the sleeve. I'm gonna pick up less stitches under the arm than the pattern suggests. And I'm gonna increase the decrease rate and maybe even go down in needle size, because I do want a fitted sleeve. So that's what I'll do. I'm gonna rip this back while I chat to you about my knitting goals for 2023. And like I said, this is just not gonna be an episode where I talk very structured, where I'm very structured about what I'm talking about. I'm just gonna do my knitting and bring you along. So I'm gonna rip this back now while I talk to you. The good thing about ripping back a sleeve when you're doing like the entire thing is that you don't really have to think about how much you're ripping back. Since you picked up the stitches under the arm, you can just rip back to that point. Because you will notice, because you'll run out of yarn. So that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. So, like I said, the first point, like the first thing on my things I want to make in 2023 is color work. So this is the first one, and I do want to make more than this, because this is the first one. I'm expecting it to be a little bit uneven and all over the place. I'm sorry if I'm about to hurt you by frogging this, if that's something you don't like, but it is gonna happen now. This is a tip, by the way, if you get a mess when you frog. I just roll my yarn like this, and it frogs at the same time. Yeah, so I'm gonna make this one, and the next color work thing, I don't know if it's gonna be like the next thing I cast on, but another thing that I really want to make is the Kerr sweater by Eclair. I'm not sure if I want to make the color work on the sleeves or just the body section, and I think I want to make, there's 2 versions of it, right? One with bigger, like a wider color work, and one with a, like, what do you say, smaller section of color work. I think I'll make that one, because I'll probably make it super cropped, everything else, and then I feel like the wider section of color work will just look strange, right? Yeah. So I want to make that one. I'm thinking maybe like a bluish teal with orange color work would be nice. That's what I'm thinking. I did see those colors I was at my yarn store. What was the base? Oh, it was Double Sunday, I think. Also in Sunday. I don't know what the gauge is for that sweater, so I don't know what kind of yarn I would use. But I did eye those. They had the colors that I was particularly interested in. Or even maybe Knitting for Olive has the petroleum green, which is nice. And they do have good oranges as well, so maybe that. But I'm thinking like a bluish teal with orange color work would be something I would wear and really enjoy. So I want to do that one. And also when it comes to color work, I would love to make the Shifty. I have the yarn for it. I've shown it in an episode. I think that was the episode I was at a hotel, right? This specifically hotel. This actually hotel. The same hotel as this. I think I showed the yarn for that one. So I do want to make the Shifty, and I think the Shifty again is about to come out any day now. Which I'm looking forward to seeing, but I don't think I could wrap my head around that. A cardigan, I don't feel like it's in the cards for me right now. I wear a lot of cardigans during the summer. I do. But I have like 3 really good cardigans that I bought at a store before I learned to knit. And I don't really feel like there's a cardigan hole in my closet. I feel like I might get my head into a space where I'm like, oh, I really want to make a cardigan, but more like for the process than for the actual finished object, which is not. I'm trying to build the wardrobe of my dreams, like the wardrobe that I'm missing with my knitting, and I feel like I already have the cardigan because I have those 3 cardigans that I wear a lot during the summer because I wear a lot of dresses then, and I like to wear cardigans. So maybe not a cardigan in the cards this year, but I'm not gonna say never. Might happen. I'm just not. Right now, I don't feel like that's a thing I'll do. And also like my cardigans, the ones that I really like, are super long. Like they almost go to my knees long, so that I wear a lot of like knee length dresses, and I like the cardigan to be the same length as the dress. And honestly, that would just take so long to knit. That would be so much body to knit. And if that was back and forth, I don't think I could do it. So if there is a cardigan in the cards for me, it would probably be steeked, I think. I think we're coming up on the sleeve soon. On the like pickup soon for the sleeve here. Isn't it sad though? Like how many hours have I spent knitting on this sleeve, and how fast did I just unravel it? It's a bit sad, but you know. I'm not opposed to frogging when it is when it's for like the sake of me actually wearing the garment. Then I think you should frog it. If it's like, if I don't frog this, I won't wear it. Frog it. So I'm gonna change to smaller needles. I think these are 3mm, and I just didn't think that the gauge was matching. So I think I am gonna go down to 275. And I will start over on the sleeve. Do I have, oh, maybe even 2.5. This is why you should gauge watch, but I am too lazy sometimes. 3.5 is too big. I have this, I don't know if you can see it or if you're just hearing all the crinkling. I have this pouch thing that I made, that I knitted myself, that I keep all my needles in. I don't have interchangeables. I only have like fixed circulars because I use, like, the honest reason why I didn't buy fixed one, not fixed ones, interchangeables. Because when I started knitting, I was scared because I thought they were very expensive, and I didn't really think about how many needles I would need, and that they would be more expensive in the long run, the fixed ones. And then when I realized that, okay, maybe I should have interchangeables, that would be, like, it would be kind of nice. The problem then was that I had gotten into knitting and, like, understood how I work, and I now know that if I'm knitting with anything bigger than a 4, that's very, very uncommon. Very, very unusual for me. Like, it's most likely that I'm knitting with like a 3, maybe a 3.5. Basically all of my sweaters are 3.5s. I think my Felix pullovers that I've made using air and weight yarn, going for like a gauge of 16 stitches. They are on 4mm needles, which is tiny for that kind of yarn. Yeah, I'm a loose knitter. So I didn't want to buy interchangeables, basically what I'm trying to say, because most of the sets that I was eyeing didn't go down as far as I wanted and needed, because I do, like, I need the range to be at least from 2mm to like 4. Those are the ones that I actually use and need. I don't need anything bigger than that. It's a plus, but I really don't need it. And all of the like sets that I found, they only went down to like maybe a 3.5-ish. And I do need a 275 and a 2.5 in my set, because I use those all the time for sleeve ribbing or stuff like that. So I haven't gotten any, but I did find now a set from Shaigu, which had the sizes that I need, so I might get that. But in the meantime, I have a million needles and they're all in here, so I'm gonna try to find the little bag for this one. I don't even know if I brought it with me. Maybe it's in the project bag. I am not an organized person. Oh, I did it. There it is. So I keep them all in their little bags, so I know the size and the length of the needle. I'm gonna pop this back in here, and I'm gonna go down. I think if I do 275, that's what I'm gonna do. And also pick up less stitches. So now I'm just gonna go through my little bag here, try to find my 275. Oh, I actually, did I tell you about this? I did, right? That I got like the shorties that are like 20 centimeters. I actually enjoyed them for baby knits. 225. That's also my problem with interchangeables. I want it to be 375. Do I not have 275 with me? I wanted them to be wood as well, which I didn't really find. But the shampoo ones that I found were wood. 80 centimeters. Oh, here they are. I was scared for a bit there. I was like, oh no, did I not bring them? I did. So, what were we talking about? Oh, the Shifty. This is me going on a tangent, because that's what I do. I talked to Simon a lot about things, and he's like, are you ever gonna get to the point? Because I like to talk about all of the things at the same time. So I'm gonna try to pick up these stitches now while I talk about the Shifty. Yeah, I already have the yarn for the Shifty. I showed that to you in a podcast episode, and I was gonna hand wind it because it's all in like skeins, but that was a hassle. I did that with the Olan yarn that I used for the Felix that I showed you, and the like Olan industrial color that I did. I hand wound those into balls because I didn't have a ball winder, and they were all in skeins, and I didn't really enjoy that, like that process. It wasn't hard or anything like that. It was just time consuming, and I felt like, oh my god, I could be knitting, why am I doing this? So I did get myself a ball winder. So I'm gonna wind at least one skein of each color for the Shifty into balls, so that I can gauge swatch for it. That's what I'm gonna do. I feel like the Shifty, it's gonna happen this year, but I don't think it's gonna be like my next project after this, because I ordered some yarn that I'm very excited about, and that's probably gonna be the next thing I cast on after this, I think. And coming up on last stitches here. I really like this yarn. This is a new yarn to me actually, that I'm using for this one. It's the, I really don't know how they pronounce it, Ulyss from the Norum Natura. Organic Knitters. Is that the way they pronounce it? I have a ball, maybe I can just show it to you. Do I not have a ball? Yeah, I do. No. That didn't have a... Oh no, I don't have a ball that has the band on it. It's this one. Ulyss from, I think it's the Rerum Natura. It's 100% merino yarn. I've never used it before, and honestly, I really enjoy it. It's like a little bit rustic, kind of like heavy merino from Knitting for Olive, but it's a lot thinner. I'm gonna give it some tries. I'm using it for this. I also ordered some more in the caramel color that I will use for the other sweater that I'm very excited about, and which brings me on to the next thing on my list of things that I want to make this year. And now I'm gonna pick up stitches for the underarm here, and I think the pattern, maybe I shouldn't give that away. The pattern suggests an amount of stitches, as it usually does, and I'm just gonna go for less stitches, I think, than that. Yeah. So that the arm is a little bit smaller from the start. Yeah. So I told you that I want this year to be... No, I'm not picking up less stitches. Why did I do that? I just went for the same amount. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna skip that one. Skip. Hang on, I need to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, maybe 6. I'll put this here. 7. 8. I just need to count so that I know how many stitches I have. 10. I'm gonna go 10. Okay, I'm gonna go 11, and then I'm gonna decrease one on the next round. That's what I'll do. Yeah. So I told you that I want this year to be like the year that I challenge myself in my knitting. Hence the color work and such. So the next thing that I want to do is try different constructions, because I have only made raglan sweaters, and I love my raglan sweaters. They are great. I need to look, if I'm not looking at you right now, that's because when I pick these stitches up that I just frogged to, I usually twist some of them, so I need to look so that I twist them back so that they're not twisted in the actual stockinette, because that would be visible if it's like an entire twisted row. So I just need to look at what I'm doing so that I can retwist them accordingly. But yeah, I do love my raglans. They are simple, they are beautiful, they are comfortable. I like the fit of them. I enjoy the making of them. So I'm thinking that raglan will probably be my favorite like sweater design construction thing forever. Because I just really do enjoy a good raglan. But it's also the only sweater construction that I have tried. So I would like to try some different kinds of construction methods. So this one that I'm making now is actually circular yoke, which is the first for me. So that's step number 1. when it comes to like new constructions. Because with the raglan, you have this like raglan seam that goes from the neckline to like your armpit vertically, and you just increase on each side of it, 4 places. When it comes to a circular yoke, which this is, you have one round where you do many did I say decrease on the raglan? I meant increase. If you go top down, which I usually do. On the circular yoke, you have one round where you increase a lot, like maybe 50 increases in one round. And then you knit for a few rounds, and then you have another increase round where you increase all the way around, which gives you this circular yoke instead. This is a circular yoke, and after the first increase round, I really don't know how it happened, but I had 24 stitches too little. After like one increase round, how can I have missed 24 increases? I don't think that happened. I really don't know what I did. So I sneaked not all of those increases in. I tried it on and I was like, it still fits me. I don't think I will miss those increases. I don't think I'll even notice that they're not there. So I just, like, this is a color work, so obviously there's a pattern repeat, which is, in this case, 10 stitches. So I needed to have like an even 10 stitches all the way around so that the pattern repeat didn't get messed up. So I just frogged a little bit, added in like 6 extra increases to the round so that I had like even 10s. Frogged a little bit and like added 4 increases or something just to have like an even 10, so that the pattern repeat was fine, and then it just kept going, and from there I stopped counting like my stitch count because it was obviously going to be way off. Just made sure on the increase rounds to increase so that it was an even 10 all the way around, so that the pattern didn't get messed up. And honestly, I don't think you can see it in the fit. The fit is a little puckered anyway because that's my like uneven color work. It's just how it's gonna be. But yeah, I think it worked out fine. And honestly, my experience with this circular yoke is that the raglan is still my favorite because it's a lot easier to keep track of like increase on each side of the raglan every other row, compared to make an increase, knit 6, let's say, and repeat 15 times, and then make an increase and knit 10 times, and then make an increase and knit 6 for another 15 times. And I was like, it was very hard to keep track of compared to the raglan increases. So I think the raglan is still my favorite. But that said, I want to challenge myself with different sweater constructions this year. So I'm doing the circular yoke now. I also want to make the DRK everyday sweater, which is Penroseknits design, which is also a very, very like simple wardrobe staple, but it is a round yoke. So I would like to make that one. And I would also like to make, which is the reason that I even started talking about this, because I was talking about the yarn. But it took me forever to get there, like I told you. It would. But I want to try, is it a dropped shoulder or is it a picked up shoulder, or is there actually a difference? I don't really know. Or set in sleeve. Is there a difference between a dropped shoulder and a set in sleeve? I'm not sure if there is. But I would like to try my hand at, I think it's a dropped shoulder, right? When the sleeve goes like down to here, or like the body part yoke thing goes down to here and then the sleeve starts. I don't know. I want to make one of those. And I want to make it in that yarn that I was talking about that I ordered, the caramel color of this yarn. And I'm gonna hold that together with one strand of alpaca 1 that I also ordered. I think the color was nougat. nougat, was it? I looked at the color in the store and I was like, this is perfect, that's what I want. I think it was nougat, I'm not sure. I'm gonna hold them together and I am gonna make, what is it, sweater number 23. Let me double check, I did write it down, 23, by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And there's like a million of these types of sweaters out there, but Caroline from Caroline's Knits, she was talking about this sweater in her like roundup of knits from 2022. She made this one then, and so she showed it, and I was like, I love how that fits her, and I love how it looks. And I've been wanting a sweater that's like super cozy that you can just throw on. Like, we spend a lot of time during the summer in a summer cabin that Simon's parents have, and during the mornings it's a bit chilly when you're like having breakfast outside, and I've always felt like I need to have a good sweater for that, but I don't have one. So I've wanted to make one that's like a little bit oversized and a bit cozy. And I feel like the sweater number 23 is going to be that sweater. So I'm going to make that one with that like intent. And let's just hope it works out. That's probably going to be the next thing I cast on, I think, after this, because I'm very excited about it. And now I need to think. I've made 3 rows. On the sleeve that I just frogged, there were 7 rows between the decreases. So maybe I do decreases every 5th row instead. Or maybe that's not even going to be enough. I'm not sure. This is my, like, hassle for me with the sleeves. And I really don't know why they are always, like, too big for me. Is an oversized sleeve a thing? Are all sleeves just oversized, or am I like, because honestly I don't think my arms are particularly small. I don't have very like big wrists, but I don't think like my upper arms are definitely not smaller than like the general or whatever. Yeah, I just don't know. So now I have to like guess the decrease rate. I could probably do the math, but honestly, who wants to bother with that at this moment? So no, I will not do that. I'm just gonna eyeball it and try it on sooner than I did before. Maybe not knit all the way to like the elbow, so that it's like hours of knitting that you have to rip back. And I also changed it to 75 now, so that's also gonna make it smaller. Yeah. What did I talk about? I talked about those. Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you do have like a great recommendation for a pattern that is similar to the sweater number 23, I am interested, because I'm looking for those kinds of patterns now. I am interested in the dad sweater. I can't remember the designer right now, but I know that Francesca from an Italian knitter, she like test knitted it, and she's making another one now in blue, which is gorgeous. So I might make that one, but it doesn't feel like that one is as oversized as the sweater number 23, and I am actually looking for an oversized thing. So now I made 4 rounds, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm gonna decrease. I'm doing it. I'm gonna decrease. And honestly, this pattern has a very strange description for the decreases, and they are using different kinds of decreases than like I normally use. And I think the reason for that is because in this pattern there are an option where you can do the entire sweater in like all over color work, and to get the color work to look nice with the decreases of the sleeves, they're probably doing the decreases that way. But honestly, it felt like a hassle when I read about it, and I talked to somebody, like a girl at Knit Night. She had made this sweater, and she was like, I'm going to be interested to hear about how you interpret the like description of the sleeve decreases because there are not so easy. And we talked about it. I read the like description and I was like, I don't know. This feels like a lot of work. And since I am not doing the color work for the sleeves, honestly, I am just ignoring the way the decreases are supposed to be made, and I'm doing it with the regular like knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 3 stitches before the end, slip, slip, knit, and knit 1. Just like the regular decrease thing. Yeah. I just switched it to whatever I wanted to. And honestly, I am gonna confess this right here on camera. I'm gonna do it live in front of you. I sheet my slip, slip, knit. I don't know why I do it, why I don't just do it the way you're supposed to. I feel like it's faster, but it's not super like slow to do the slip, slip, knit. It's fast as well. But what I do, I'm almost there, so I can just do it while I tell you, is that instead of one more stitch, instead of doing like the slip, slip, knit, I knit 3 stitches before the marker, and then I just knit the 2 stitches together through the back loop. I don't know if that gives the same effect as the slip, slip, knit. I don't know why I even started doing it that way. I just did. And then I just kept doing it, and now I feel comfortable doing it. And I really don't mind the look. I'm not even sure now that I actually know how to do the slip, slip, knit anymore because I just never do it. So you slip and you slip. And then you what? Knit? Makes sense, but like through what loop? I'm not sure. It's confession time. That's what I do. Yeah, so let me look at my list. I talked about the color work things. I talked about sweater construction, so like round yokes and dropped shoulders. I don't know about the saddle shoulder. Maybe one of those two. What I'm not interested in when it comes to construction is bottom up. Like in full honesty, I'm just not interested. I've never done it, but I just feel like it's not for me. I really like how easy it is to try on a sweater when you're doing it top down and how easy it is to modify it. And that is the reason that I knit, to like be able to modify the sweaters that I make for myself, because I love how that is possible to make them actually fit the way that I want. The perfect example of that is this sweater. So like if you buy this, like if I went to a store, found this sweater, tried it on, I was like, I like it, but the sleeves are too wide. Like my only option would be to buy it and then try to like sew it. And my only option would be like to buy it and try to modify it through what? Sewing. But now I'm like, nope, the sleeves are too big, and I just rip it out and do it again. So I love that with knitting. And I feel like that is easier when you do top down. And honestly, I don't feel like I could be bothered doing bottom up because, I don't know. I don't feel like it's calling my name. I don't feel intrigued by it. So I don't think that's in my future this year. But I am interested in round yokes and drop shoulders. When it comes to construction, I'm also looking to make at least 2 slipovers for myself this year. I would really like to make the zipper slipover. I have the yarn for that. I already swatched for it, so I talked about it before. But the thing is that I have come to the conclusion that the yarn that I have for it is the wrong yarn. I was going to make it in Plötuloopy, held together with 1 strand of pure silk from Knitting for Olive. But honestly, the Plötuloopy, I don't think it's my kind of yarn. Not because of like the unspun thing where it breaks easily. I don't mind that. I don't like the feel of it. And I think it's a bit too woolly for me. I like the merinos. Even if there's like a rustic merino, I like the merinos. Um, and I don't feel like I want to spend all that time on that yarn and then not ending up wearing the slipover because it's too scratchy. I have been feeling my swatch and I just don't like the feel of it. So I think, did I lose a stitch here? No, it's just a little bit weird because I frogged, right? The yarn looks a bit strange. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, I've been feeling the swatch. I don't like how it feels. So I'm gonna make it in heavy merino instead. I think I can match the gauge. My usual gauge for heavy merino is like 16 stitches, and I think the zipper slipover is 17. I can match that easily. So I'm gonna make it in heavy merino instead. I'm thinking I'm gonna go for gray. We have a color that is slate gray, which is actually kind of similar to this one, a little bit lighter maybe. I think I'm gonna go for that because the zipper slipover that I want to make, I want it to be like a thing that I can wear when I'm gardening. So I'm thinking a bright color is not a good choice. Like a light color is not a good choice because I'm probably gonna get like soil on it and stuff like that. So I'm thinking the gray, maybe. So that is also something that I want to make. I also want to make another slipover for myself. And I'm thinking about the Friday slipover from Petite as well, because I do really like the broken rib look. I've never made broken rib, but it looks great. So I'm thinking maybe that one. And I want to make it, and I want it to be like a slipover that I can wear at work or stuff like that. So yeah, I want to make that one too. So what else is on my little list? Yeah, I think those are like the big ones when it comes to construction things. Also, I would like to make, and I'm not sure if this is like a challenge, maybe it is, because there are more cables in it that I've knit before, but I have knit cables and I don't think they are particularly hard, so I don't feel like it's a challenge that way. But I do also want to make, and this pattern isn't released yet, so I can't make it yet, but it's coming out this year. And it's I still think that this is too big. Maybe I should have gone for the 2.5s anyway. You can just see it. I know that the color work is tight because it's color work, but you can just really see the line. And don't feel like I had that thing on the body. I'm gonna knit for a little bit longer so that I can actually try it on and see what it looks like. Might just have to frog it again and do the 2.5s. Maybe just like 2mm for the ribbing. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. I want to make the Eclair sweater by Penroseknits, which is not released yet. It's in testing right now, but it looks great. And I would like to make it without the bubbles, because I don't like the bubbles. It's not my thing. I don't think I could be comfortable wearing something like that. So I want to make it without the bubbles. But I do think that sweater is gorgeous, so I want to make that one. No idea what color, or if I want to make it cropped or not cropped. I have no idea. I think I've lost a stitch here. Have I actually lost a stitch here? No, I don't think I did. It looks a bit wonky because I frogged the yarn. So, you know, it's not smooth anymore. It's a little bit but I want to, yeah. I'm very all over the place. I'm talking to you about like a sweater that I want to make, and then I'm losing my train of thought because of something that I see in my knitting, which is exactly what I'm like at knit night. So if you've ever like wondered or ever felt like, oh yeah, it would be so fun to go to a knit night, this is at least what I am like at knit night, because I'm talking to somebody about something and then I'm like, what did I do here in like the middle of a sentence? That's just how my brain works, I guess. It's all over the place. Yeah, I want to make the Eclair. That's what I was trying to get across. Because I think the pattern is gorgeous and I would really like to have one of those. Also, I would like to make some summer knits this year. I only have one sweater that is like a summer friendly yarn. I knit a lot in merino or like wools, which is warm and not always appropriate for summer. I do live in Sweden, so we don't usually get like crazy hot summers, but maybe too hot for wool most of the time. So I did make a sweater using cotton and linen, and I would like to make more of those kinds of sweaters, both with like sleeves and maybe some kind of... I did buy the yarn already for the peacock tee from, what's her name? Lena Holm Samse? Is that the name? I bought some linen yarn for that. I think I went for, did I just go for Lina from Summers Garden, or was it Tin Lina? I think it was Lina, right? So I do have the yarn for that. I think I already swatched for that, didn't I? And then I just lost interest because it wasn't orange and I wanted it to be orange, and it's green because they didn't have orange. So I should really make that one. I think it's going to be like a beautiful sweater or beautiful tee. It's done. So more summer knits this year because I only have one and I need more. So that is also something that I would really like to do and get around to. And then I think there's only one thing left on my little list, which is the biggest challenge of them all. And it is, should I do a decrease here? 1, 2, 3, no, one more round if we're doing the 5, which is my own design. I would like to design my own sweater, and not really with the intention of like releasing a pattern or anything like that. That would also be like a dream, I think, to at least release one pattern. Also, kind of like Freya Bea talked about when she was releasing her first pattern, that not really to make a career out of it, but more like to see how the process is so that you can appreciate it when you buy patterns and like appreciate the work that goes into it. But also because I want to get to a point where I'm like, oh, I really want this type of sweater, and instead of going like on Ravelry and really like looking for a pattern that kind of ticks the boxes of what I imagined, I can just make it. So that is also something that I would really, really like to try this year, to knit a sweater without a pattern from like my own design, without it being like a super basic raglan. I would like it to have some kind of design element. I do have a few ideas of sweater that I would like, so I might try one of those and see if I can make it work. That would be, yeah, that's, I think, my big goal for this year is to do that. At least knit one sweater for myself without a pattern. That is not just a plain raglan. That would be something. I feel like if I do that, then I have arrived as a knitter. Then I'm never fully learned, never like done, because you can always learn something new and whatever. But I feel like at least I've graduated or something like that. I'm gonna do a few decreases very soon. I spent like 3 hours knitting on this sweater today on the train, and then I just ripped it all out. Feels like a bit of a waste of time. Not really. I was still knitting. I still like it, but you know. Yeah, I think those are all the things that I can come up with in terms of like goals for 2023. I don't want to push myself to have more goals than I actually want, or like I didn't want to make 10 sweaters I want to make in 2023, because I honestly I couldn't name 10 sweaters of like the top of my head. Where like I really want to make this particular sweater, and I don't want to put pressure on myself. This is kind of like, I used to read a lot before I started knitting, before I had a baby. So like I think all the way up to like 2020, I used to read at least 100 books a year. Somewhere between 100 and like 120 books a year for a good amount of years. And I read a lot of fantasy, so they were like 700 pages books. So I read a lot. And I never wanted to make a TBR video or like a TBR list. A TBR is to be read if you don't know the term. So basically the idea is like you make a list of books that you want to read. Like, oh, these are the books that I want to read in May, TBR for May. I never wanted to make those kinds of lists, because as soon as I did, I felt like I was finished with that book, because it was like out of my head, out of my thought space, because it was like out of my head down on a paper. And I feel like that might be the same thing with the sweaters for 2023. If I were to be like, oh, I want to make these 10 sweaters 2023, then I would lose interest, because they would no longer be in my head. They would be on a paper. Does that even make sense? Probably not. But yeah, that's how I still feel about TBR lists when it comes to books. And I feel like that might be the case with sweaters as well. So I'm trying to stay clear of specific sweaters. I have a few, but I really know that I want to make those. So yeah. I'm also this year actually gonna try to get back into my reading more. And I'm hoping to incorporate it into this channel again, because this channel was a booktube channel from the beginning, before I started knitting. And I really wish and hope that the books are going to come back, because reading and books are honestly probably the true love of my life. If you don't count, obviously, people, because that's an entirely different thing. But when it comes to like hobbies and things, I think books are like the love of my life. If you asked me when I was 5, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? When everybody else was going like, I want to be a football pro, or I want to be a princess, I was telling you that like I'm gonna be an author. And I did study literature in school, because I do really like it. So I'm hoping that this will be the year that me and books find each other again, because last year I think I read 6 books, which is, you're not supposed to like compare or whatever, and the number is really not important. But for me, 6 books are very little, and I just felt like that was a bit of a failure for me. But at the same time, I did knit a lot, and I have a 1-year-old daughter. It's not strange that I'm not reading as much as I used to. But I'm hoping to read more this year. And I don't think that I'm going to get back to like 100 books this year. That would be crazy to even strive for. Because I do want to split my time more with knitting now, which I didn't do before. And I do have a daughter, that I told you. So I don't think that 100 books would be reasonable, but I do want to read more this year. So I'm also hoping to talk more about books with you guys, because yeah, I love books. And if you're a fantasy reader, which I am, it's my favorite genre, then, and you have like a great book recommendation that you're like, you need to read this fantasy book, please leave it in the comments, because maybe that's what I need. A great book to get me back into it. Yeah. So I feel like this video is going to be super long now, which was not my intention. But I want you to be here when I try the sleeve on to see if it's better. So I'm going to do one more row. or round or whatever. I feel like I always get those two mixed up. I always go row, and then in my head I think, no, maybe that's when you need flat, because that's a row. So then I say round instead, because that's what you do, you go round. And then you just keep using both of them when I'm talking about the same thing. So I'm like, oh, this round, this row, but I mean the same, yeah. I feel like I'm mixing them up. But I know that a row is when you knit flat and a round is when you knit in the round. But then when I talk, I just use them interchangeably. I don't know if you can, but I do. I think you're like, you get what I mean. That's the most important thing. If I tell you that this is a row that I'm gonna make, you get what I mean. Which is the most important part. Yes. I really hope that these, like, that 275 was enough, but I feel like it might still be too big. I don't want to redo the sleeve. I would like to finish the sleeve. I could have finished the sleeve tonight if I had the right size needles from the get-go. But I didn't because I was too lazy to swatch. I did swatch, obviously. I'm doing color work for the first time, but I didn't do like a super big swatch with different needles and with like a color work section and a non-color work section, and I didn't wet block it and whatnot. So that's what you get for sheeting with your swatch. You get to frog the entire arm. So I am now gonna put it back on this little cable thing. And I know that you're supposed to pull this through the stitches, but I'm too lazy, so I don't do that. It takes too long. Because then you have to like transfer them back to the needles, which doesn't take long, obviously, but I'm too lazy. So what I do is that I like pop them on the tip, and instead of like transferring the stitches on, I just spread them so that I use them as part of the needle. So I know that the fit is not going to be perfect when I try it on because like there's a needle in here, but you get kind of a feel. So I'm gonna try it now to see if it looks better. So I feel like it might. Obviously I have not made a lot of sleeve. I feel like, is this a thing? Because with the raglan sweaters, I feel like the sleeve starts higher up than it did with this one. Is that because it had like a deep yoke? It's not very deep. There's not a deep yoke. Or is that like a thing with circular yokes? That bigger part of the yoke is part of the sleeve? So I feel like I just started the sleeve and I'm almost already at the elbow, which feels strange. I need to leave you for 1 second and go check in the mirror how this looks. I'll be right back. I think definitely that I could have gone down to the 2.5 because you can see that my gauge is different, but I'm also thinking that the blocking is probably going to help with that. And yeah, I feel like the decrease rate is better, but I might do a few tighter rounds of decreases to decrease out a few stitches because I feel like it might still be a little wide, or maybe not. I'm gonna knit a little more and then feel. Or maybe I should just have pulled my needle through so that I could have seen it without the needle, but you know, too lazy. Yeah, I think we're definitely closer to what I was looking for now than we were before, but that I could have probably gone down to 2.5. But I'm not gonna rip back now because I don't feel like it. And if I like look at it, it's obviously a lot more even here because of the stockinette instead of the color work. But if I look at the stitches, I feel like the gauge is not very different. So hopefully it's gonna look better when I block it, I think. So yeah, I'm not gonna rip it back again. I'm gonna keep it as is and keep knitting on the sleeve with the extra decreases that I'm doing. Probably add a few more extra decreases. I think I changed the decrease rate from, maybe it was like something similar to every eight, like you knit 8 rows and then do a decrease, or 7 rows and then do a decrease, something like that. And now I'm doing a decrease every 5th row. So I'm knitting 4 and then I'm decreasing. So quite a lot more than the pattern suggested. But that's what I always do with my sleeves. And I still feel like this is a bit wide. Around here, I feel like it's a bit wide. So I might do a few rounds where I do like 3 rounds and then a decrease, just to decrease it in a bit. Yeah. But also, it is just wide in general, right? Right here, I feel like it's a bit wider. Could probably have done a few less increases on the yoke before I split for the sleeves. Yeah, this is very uneven. I'm hoping it's gonna block out nicely so that it fits me better. But it is my first color work, so it's all good. Yeah. So I am gonna keep knitting, and I'm gonna leave you here because this video is gonna be 2 hours long now. But I did really enjoy hanging out with you for a bit. It was fun, and it was a good way to kill some time instead of just watching some bad TV. You know, when you're in a hotel and you don't have like a smart TV, so you can't watch Netflix or whatever. So you're just watching whatever's on TV, and they don't have a lot of channels, so there's like 3 channels to choose from. You usually end up watching something that you would not have chosen to watch otherwise. So it was good to spend some time with you instead. And yeah, I might pop up my computer and watch something on that one instead. We'll see. And keep knitting for a bit, and then I'm gonna go to bed because tomorrow we have that big exam with kids, so I need to sleep well before that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me in my hotel room. Super chill, all over the place video where I just ramble, because that's what I do when I don't have a plan. I never script my videos, but I do have a plan when I film them. But I didn't tonight, which you probably noticed because I am all over the place. The only plan that I had was this little list here. And I think we went over it all of it. And yeah, if there is something that you think that I should really make in 2023, that you're like, you should really make this type of sweater or whatever, leave a comment. That's all I had to say. Have a great night, great day, whatever it is at the moment that you're watching this. I'm gonna keep knitting, and I will see you when I see you. Bye!